Welcome to Sports Talk, your weekly source for Hazleton area high school football. I'm Marty Burns, joined once again by the head coach of the Hazleton area football Cougars, Dennis Buchman. And as always, Sports Talk is brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Orthopedic Institute. This week we'll have a very special guest from the Cougar football team. Another timeout segment with Dr. John Dagenhart. We look back at senior night against Wyoming Valley West and look ahead to a tough road trip against those millionaires of Williamsport. That's all this week on Sports Talk.
Sports Talk is presented in cooperation with Lehigh Valley Health Network, Hazleton.
Welcome back to Sports Talk, your weekly source for Hazleton area high school football. I'm your host, Marty Burns, joined once again by Hazleton area head football coach Dennis Buchman, and of course, Sports Talk brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Orthopedic Institute. And Coach, big win Friday night against Wyoming Valley West, senior night, and we didn't get to really talk about it last week, honoring those seniors that we're going to be leaving your football program at the end of this year.
Sure. It was so special to ensure those seniors got to walk off our field for the last time as winners. It was really special. Obviously, the pregame portion of senior night, it's always tough, bittersweet, because you're so proud of the young men that the players in our program have become, but you know you're going to miss them dearly too, but excited for them. They're going on and, continuing and going into the next chapter of their life, so to speak. But really, really proud of each one of those seniors. They mean a lot to myself, our staff, our players, the underclassmen. They've really done so much for our program, have been part of multiple championship year teams here for us, and just have laid such a great example for our underclassmen on how to lead, how to overcome adverse situations, and really just how to attack each day and prepare the right way and do things the correct way, not only on the field and in terms of football, but off the field in the community. Properly conducting themselves in the classroom and in the school community. They've done everything and anything we've asked of them and more, and I'm just really, really proud of them.
And the other thing, it was sad to see, and I know I've always said this, to see seniors not be able to complete their seasons because of injury or illness or whatever it may be. A couple of your seniors got honored pregame but weren't able to play, but a lot of those guys, as we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, stepping into different roles, and they really stepped up. A lot of young players stepped up Friday night.
Sure, that's the incredible part too. When you see all the players who did step up in the absence of some of our seniors, they are true underclassmen, sophomores, juniors, even a freshman. When you see those guys, I think that speaks volumes right there of what the seniors mean, because you can definitely tell that the intensity and the intent of things was taken up a couple notches the last few weeks, and we've just built on that this past Friday. And that's a testament, obviously, what these seniors mean to our players too, that they understood the task at hand, and it was important to make sure that we got the win against Valley West, most notably for our seniors.
And I don't know how you feel about numbers and being superstitious, but I was freaked out a couple times the other night. You put 36 on the board, kicked it away to number 36, who returned it to his own 36, and that was previous to me realizing that your team scored 13 seconds into the game, 13 seconds into the third quarter on Friday the 13th. And I decided if that press box started to shake, I was gone.
How about it? It was great to be able to start the game the way we did. Once again, we talk about special teams, how much we pride ourselves on special teams, how much we work in the specials game, to be able to get that recovery on the opening kickoff. And one of those seniors that we haven't talked about in a couple weeks because he hasn't been on the field, Xander Coleman. I mean, that's a guy now in really 3 games this year that he's played offensively. The Pittston game, the Wallenpaupack game, and the Valley West game, he has 7 touchdowns. Yeah. And you see how our offense is a little bit different with him in the game and being able to do multiple things to use his skill set. First play offensively, he scores a touchdown. Our second touchdown is scored by him again on a 4th down play. So what he means to our team as well, and especially in the absence of some of those other seniors that we were missing on Friday, he really was key for us offensively, and the game he had defensively too.
And Coach is learning the TV business real good. A great segue into the highlights, and we'll start with that opening touchdown to Xander Coleman. We'll look at it twice.
Absolutely. You talk about how about the catch radius of Xander here. Great job by Austin Wilson to be able to create depth and width with his rollout, and then Xander does the rest with a great catch and run.
And one of those young men that stepped up, Ashton Carlick.
Ashton Carlick, almost 180 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, only a sophomore. We talk about that valuable game experience, and you're just seeing him grow before our eyes right now, getting better each week.
The second touchdown to Xander Coleman, and again, we'll look at it twice.
There's no substitute when you have the opportunity to have somebody who's 6'2", 230 pounds, be able to be as athletic and move the way he does offensively and make the plays he does defensively.
And here we've seen this a lot the last several weeks, Austin Wilson running the football.
Just everything that he does for our team, our offense. 3 touchdown passes in the first half. This throw here was absolutely big time. We caught them in cover 0. We knew we would have this look here. Hunter Johnson does the rest.
Here, another run for Austin.
He's just so special. The year that he's having for us, throwing the football, and as you said, also using his legs, it's just immeasurable for us.
We'll look at this touchdown twice. This one to Riley Van Gilst.
Riley Van Gilst, another guy we talk about game experience, getting better and better. The route here, well, first it starts with the protection, but then the route, the throw, and the catch afterwards, it was a thing of beauty.
And not only were they penalized once, but twice. You got the 2-point conversion there by Austin Wilson. And here, we'll look at this twice. The run by Freddie Corrado.
We talk about that freshman, number 1, Freddie Corrado. Really, really happy for Freddie. He got some game experience here. We had a package in to be able to use him at quarterback. Does a great job feeling pressure, stepping up in the pocket. And then you see his athleticism here on display as well for a young kid.
And here we see another run by Carlick.
Great job up front. How about the blocking downfield by our receivers? And Ashton Carlick, he's a really, really special player and only continuing to get better and better.
And here we'll look at his touchdown twice.
One of his 3 scores on the night. Hunter Johnson with a great block here. You see Carlos Gonzalez from the slot position also making a great play and a block on the apex player.
And here we get a look at the touchdown that opened the second half, and we'll look at this twice.
We talked at half. We knew that we had this specific look against Valley West to be able to take advantage of this. Ashton does a great job sticking his foot in the ground right here on outside zone. Hunter Johnson being able to work upfield north as well and be able to lead Ashton. He was untouched on this. When you have a touchdown run from 60-plus and you're untouched, you know the guys up front are doing their job too.
Speaking of up front, how about some Team D on this run?
Love to see all the white helmets and scarlet jerseys around the football here. Once again, on a fast screen to the edge in one step, we have a bunch of red jerseys to the football.
And this tackle for loss we'll look at twice.
Absolutely. We have guys here. Peter Youngcourt, one of those seniors that we talked about. Xander Coleman, another senior there. Tommy King, an underclassman. Just a great job overall.
We continue with this Team D with a stop up the middle, and then Xander Coleman. What a great play defensively.
Sure. He was a guy, he came back, had 11 tackles, 2 touchdowns, a forced fumble. Right here again, you see John Carlos Peralta making a big play on the edge there, along with a host of Cougars.
And here, this fumble recovery we'll look at twice.
Great job here by Hunter Johnson. We work tackle and takeaway every single day in practice. And when you see somebody working his near hip down and being able to scoop this football, and with one extra block here, defender, Hunter Johnson's in the end zone. Great job, got the ball back for our offense.
And if Ashton Carlick couldn't do enough Friday night, how about special teams?
We pride ourselves, as we talk about, it's not just another phase for us. We believe, and especially as we've said time and time again in high school football, the amount of momentum you can get in the specials game is so important. We had the recovery on the kickoff, and then the block punt here. We're able to take advantage of many opportunities because of the way that we play in the special teams game throughout this entire year. We've gotten better and better in each phase, and certainly the special teams phase does not take a back seat to either one of those other two.
And before we get to break, one last quick question for you. We've talked so much about how hard your team has worked to this point, but it didn't show up in a win. To get a win Friday night where the hard work paid off, talk about how that is a bonus for your team.
Absolutely. I mean, as I tell our guys all the time here, we're going to win a lot of football games in this program as we have and win championships, and that's because of the hard work of our players and our coaches, who just mean so much to myself. And when we lose football games, that's going to be because of me. These last few weeks, these losses weren't because of a lack of effort. They weren't because of a lack of intent. None of those things. We've continued to understand this process here. We've continued to get better. And I really feel, especially these last 2 weeks, we're starting to see a lot of confident guys now taking the field in the second half of the year, getting that valuable varsity game experience, playing under the lights, playing for one another. Our physicality really has ramped up here, which is so important. And it's a bunch of younger guys now starting to figure it out. So it was great to see the smiles on the faces of our players and our coaches, and that's just that. There's no explanation of describing that feeling, how you feel as a head coach, to win a football game, and not for myself, for everyone else. It's just such a proud moment, because I know how hard everybody works and how much I care about each one of them. So to see our seniors smiling and having a moment with them after the game, and seeing all these underclassmen so proud and satisfied because we were able to send our seniors off the field with a win, that means everything to me. It really does.
Coming up next, we're going to have a timeout segment with Dr. John and Ryan, and then from the Cougar football team, he wears 22, John Carlos Peralta joins us here on Sports Talk.
Sports Talk is presented in cooperation with Lehigh Valley Health Network, Hazleton.
Welcome back to Timeout. I'm back with Dr. John. Dr. John, how's it going?
Great. I love every day I work here, Ryan.
That's fantastic. And so we're going to talk about the cold weather because it's getting colder. I'm in long sleeves, so athletes need to protect themselves. Football is still going, so what can they do, in cold weather to help protect themselves?
The human body has to stay warm to prevent injuries. A lot of athletes, they don't dress warm enough. I know when I played sports, the macho guys wanted to go out there and be cold, but when the calf muscles are cold or the bicep muscles, there's more injuries. Look at the pros. They wear long sleeves, they wear gloves. So keeping the body's muscles warmer keeps them more flexible. We feel chiropractically, even if you have to wear, like this time of the year, chilly in the morning, put on a jacket when you go for your walk with your dog. Later in the afternoon, it's maybe not as cold to rake your leaves, then maybe take off that jacket, right? So all I say is listen to your body. Most people, they get a cold draft on their necks, like if they sit at a football game. Mm-hmm. So when I go to a football game, I wear a winter coat. I have like a blanket, and it keeps me nice and warm.
Yep, it's so important to have temperature control, but we'd like to thank Dr. John for joining us on this segment of Timeout. We'll see you next time.
Sports Talk is presented in cooperation with Lehigh Valley Health Network, Hazleton.
Welcome back to Sports Talk, your weekly source for Hazleton area high school football here on WYLN, brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Orthopedic Institute. I'm Marty Burns, and joining myself and Coach Buchman, the rose between two thorns, John Carlos Peralta. And are we okay with calling you JC? I know Coach calls you JC. We all right with that?
That's good.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for joining us this week.
It's great to be here.
Let's talk about, you've been one of those guys that have been able to play most of the season.
Yep.
And with different guys going out, I know Coach has talked about the responsibilities you've been given. Let's start defensively in the different positions that you've had to learn, because you never know what may come up in a game as far as an injury situation, and all of a sudden you may be playing one position and they're going to say, JC, we need you here.
Yep. I mean, at the start of the season, I was mainly playing Sam or Will, outside linebacker, and then when people started going down, I ended up having to switch inside and really know the two positions inside out. Even these past couple of weeks when we were learning our 50 defense, having to know how to play like a defensive end spot, I really learned how to go really anywhere for any time when anyone goes out, just being prepared like our coaches taught us.
And then talk about, you get to Friday night and some of these pieces start coming back and fitting back in. Talk about as you start getting closer and closer to getting your team back to full strength.
Yeah, we're really excited. I mean, we haven't really had everyone at one time together, and now that we're really getting everyone in one group, it's really exciting to see.
And I think, Coach, we talked about it Friday pregame that when we said, when were you at full strength? And I think you told me week 1, and that was pretty much it.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the offensive side of the football. We've seen you play some tight end. We've seen you play some fullback. Talk about where you've had to fit in different spots offensively.
I mean, fullback and tight end, those have been my 2 main spots. During the Dallas game, I played receiver too. It's just we're, as a team, just really interchangeable, and we could all play every spot, and that's what we try to go for.
And maybe we don't talk about it enough with the injuries, but talk about not only yourself, but you mentioned your teammates as well, having that versatility so that when injuries do strike, it isn't such a, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? It's just, all right, let's just slide this one in here and we'll just move the pieces around almost like on a checkerboard type thing.
I mean, that's been one of our best characteristics, I feel like, just to be able to overcome the adversity that we faced this year. It's been kind of special.
And we talked with Coach last week about starting with the Wyoming Valley West game, starting to take these 3 games and finishing strong. And even though you've got some seniors that are going to leave you got a lot of players that got a lot of time this year. If you can finish this year strong, talk about the springboard that could be for next year for you guys.
Yeah, the coaches are always saying it only takes one to really build momentum, and that's what we're trying to go for. Send the seniors off right and go into the offseason, these underclassmen, with some really good momentum into lifting and all that stuff.
And one last quick question for you before we head to break. You guys are going to Williamsport, probably one of those teams that you haven't seen to this point, meaning how athletic they are. How can you simulate that? Can you judge from the film and then try to simulate it onto the practice field so you guys get yourself ready for Friday night?
Yeah, we watch a lot of film. We watched them today. We have a great scout team. We are very well prepared in that manner. So.
All right, so we are going to say so long. John Carlos, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
And best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
So for JC Peralta, we're going to take a break and be back to talk about those millionaires of Williamsport right after this.
Sports Talk is presented in cooperation with Lehigh Valley Health Network, Hazleton.
Welcome back to Sports Talk, your weekly source for Hazleton area high school football, brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Orthopedic Institute here on WYLN. John Carlos Peralta, Coach Buchman, stay with us. And Coach, we talked about last 2 games on the road. You're going to wind up in Crispin Field, but before that, you're tough, long road trip to Williamsport to take on the Millionaires. As we mentioned last segment with JC, maybe the first look that you get of a real athletic football team.
Sure. A lot of similarities to Wilkes-Barre, who we played a couple weeks ago. A team, though, who really wants to spread you out from a defensive standpoint, and rightfully so, with the quarterback they have in Williamson, the receivers they have, the skill players all over the field. You can see why we'll be a team, when we're on offense, they have no problem being able to play cover 0 and allow their athletes to play man coverage on the edges and be able to pack the box. And they're confident, rightfully so, in the personnel they have. A lot of players returning from the same team we faced at Harmon Geist last year that we were tied at half with. So we understand the challenges that they present. Coach Pearson, his staff have their players always prepared, and certainly this will be no different. Exciting place to go play. The last time we were at Williamsport, we played them, that was 2 years ago, week 10, where we beat them for the Wyoming Valley Conference Championship. So it's always, I told our players, going into this week, these last two venues that we play at, does it get really more historical in terms of high school football when you get to play at Williamsport and all the great athletes and players who've played there in games, and then certainly Crispin Field, as we'll talk about next week. But we look at it as certainly a challenge, but we're excited for the challenge to be able to go on the road and compete for 4 quarters against Williamsport.
And as we talked about with JC last segment, the preparation, and maybe we're saying a total team of athletes, but can you go maybe say so-and-so player reminds you of this player from Team A, this guy reminds you of this guy from Team B? Is it one of those kind of type things?
Sure. In some ways, absolutely. I think one thing that really gets overlooked from Williamsport's perspective, too, is their guys up front. I mean, they're progressively getting better, and they're starting to figure it out up front. They're dangerous. I mean, from a defensive perspective, their defensive line causes a lot of problems for teams. Their linebackers are active. Offensively, you don't have the level of success they've had from an offensive standpoint if you don't have the guys up front. But certainly, you can go through and maybe make some similarities and comparisons to some players, but then some others have just been guys we haven't seen those types of athletes before. Yeah. So like I said, we're really excited. Anytime you're playing a meaningful game, Week 9, and if you look at the power ranking index and things like that right now, this game has playoff implications, as crazy as it sounds, in Week 9 for both teams, and we still leave a chance for ourselves with a win Friday. So, as I said, our goal is going to be to continue to build on the success we had this past week, the energy we played with 2 weeks ago, and just continue to build and get better each and every day together.
So, Coach, the ultimate question, to get 2 wins in a row, what's going to be the keys to victory as you head to Williamsport?
Simply us getting better. When you talk about, and as we spoke before, being able to have those younger guys continue to gain that valuable game experience and allow their confidence to grow is really important. And also for those seniors that we do have that are playing right now, it's paramount for them to continue to elevate and step up their game. The Xander Colemans of the world, the Peter Youngcourts, the Brian Calcanos, Brady Mazenkos, those guys playing this final stretch run of their high school career here, they have to continue to do the stellar job that they've done throughout in leading our football program and football team, and our underclassmen continuing to step up for them and for our team as a whole.
So, Coach, good luck, and let's hope for 2 in a row Friday night.
Thank you so much. Go Cougars.
Go Cougars.
So, for JC Peralta, Coach Dennis Buchman, I'm Marty Burns saying so long. Join us next week for another edition of Sports Talk. We go over the Williamsport game. Look ahead, a big trip to Crispin Field to take on the Berwick Bulldogs, and a special guest from the Cougar football team and a timeout segment, all bunched in next week on Sports Talk, brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Orthopedic Institute.